Folks, let me get your attention up front, okay? I want to cover the most important part of After Effects, which is called rendering. And that's when you take all the stuff you've done in it and you mash it into a video file of some sort. And what we're going to look to do by next week is have you render out of After Effects and upload that file to YouTube, where we'll watch those files up here. Okay? So these days, the way we do that is there's something called Adobe's Media Encoder. I have this from last week, and I'm going to say this is the thing I want to put up there. I go under File, I go under Export, and I go to Add to Adobe Media Encoder Queue. And I click this and another program is going to open. Adobe, because they have a bunch of different programs that use it, Premiere, Pro, and strangely enough Photoshop, they decided to put all of their compression algorithms in one separate application they call Media Encoder. So this is the thing that's supposed to be able to take any sort of media you have, sound and video and still images, and push them out into any other format. We'll allow that. Okay, and it's back here. This is Adobe Media Encoder, and it should, in any second now, pop in something here. There it is. Comp 1. This is the thing I'm going to output. It's telling me what it's going to output as by default, which is an MPEG-4, MP4, which is probably what I want. MPEG-4 is a format that was decided on by a lot of companies to be able to move video on the web very quickly. I'm going to double-click this. Actually, I'll double-click this. And it should open a window. Yes, that's going to show me things about that input and output. First off, this is my source and this is my output. And this shows me what it will look like at different places, which is good. I could also edit it here if I needed to. If I needed to output just a few seconds of this, I can slide these back and forth. See that? And decide I'm only going to render 8 seconds of it or 10 seconds of it or whatever I want on there. Now over here are the actual settings. H.264, and this is a little bit confusing. MPEG-4 and H.264 are basically the same thing. If I remember, you know what, this will be a very small thing. There is something called codecs, and codec stands for coding and decoding, codec. And basically what codecs are is they're pieces of software that first you push media through and they make it smaller, and then later when you're playing back that media, they take it back and put it back to roughly its original format. MP3 is a codec that we all know. That's used just for audio. MP4, by a totally different group of people, was decided to be a codec for video, and the confusing thing about MPEG-4 is it has other codecs inside of it. Now, Apple was one of the big authors of MPEG-4, and I believe the way it works is the standard is called H.264, but H.264 and MPEG-4 are roughly the same. Now, I'm only saying that because if you click here, you'll see that we have a lot of different output formats. You'll see Blu-ray, like Blu-ray discs, is a type of H.264, which is a type of MP4. We also see stuff like QuickTime, which is Apple's native format that has other codecs inside of that. Targa and TIFF would be single image files, and there's times when you want to do that. Plus you see you can take audio out if you wanted to instead. And there's several other formats. This is a format used by Avid Video. This is a format used on feature films where you need deep color space. In general, we can leave this here at H.264 and it will be fine. And the preset is to match the source. Our source is 1280 by 720 by 24 frames a second, so that's what this should say down here. 1280, 720, 24. Now I could change that. I can even play around with the way this compresses to change the size of it, but in general, I can take the defaults and it will be pretty good. Now, I can look back and forth here and make sure that everything seems solid. It seems solid here, it seems solid there. I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to click here for the output file. This is where it's going to put it and what it's going to call it. It's going to call it comp1 mpeg4, which will be hard for me to find. I'm going to go to the root of my disk and I'm going to call this background, and it will put the mpeg4 in for me and hit save. And then I'm going to hit this button. It will show me roughly what it's doing here. It'll say roughly how long it will take. And when it's done, it will make this sound, I think. Let's see. No sound. It will very often make a sound. I probably don't have the audio up here. I'm going to show you what that made. I'm going to go to computer, I'm going to go to C, and we're going to get the last file in here. Rendering, actually that's me, the second to last file in here, right there. MP4 video, 15 megabytes, which isn't too big. I can double click it, and it should play in a video player. And look like that. And this should look very close to what my original was. There is some lossy compression, meaning when this gets mashed down, they get rid of some information. But in general, it should look very good. And I should check it. Hey, look, there's a little, do you see that, a cabin there? I never noticed that before. This should go up to YouTube very well. This looks like everything's in place to do that. So once I know that, I then got to go to my YouTube account. If I don't have a YouTube account, I have to make a YouTube account. I have a YouTube account. Upload. Now, I don't want this to go to my normal files because people watch these for other reasons, so I'm going to put this as private, but you can do whatever you want. And then I'm just going to drag and drop this like that. Now it goes up very quickly, which is great, and then YouTube compresses it. So it has to go through multiple levels of compression, which is something to think about. Again, the best quality thing you could get up there, the better quality the final result will look. And when it says processing right here, 95%, the old figure used to be that every minute YouTube gets 24 hours of video uploaded to it. So it's using computers all over the earth to recompress that and then to reserve it. And look, this is done, which means if I go here, this is now playing back from YouTube. Let's see if it has all the formats yet. It does not have the 1280 by 720 yet, see that? It will get it. It takes a little bit of time. Sometimes it takes 20 seconds, sometimes it takes 10 minutes, sometimes it takes an hour. But it will eventually have all of these formats up here. And actually we'll go to 480 to see if that's any better. And then this is what I'm going to have you show me next week. You're going to show me your video from YouTube. So that's the completion of the assignment. You fill out the things I had there. Remember the things about layers and what have you. You output them out of After Effects and then upload them to YouTube. And then we'll watch your stuff next week. Okay? Does that seem doable? Okay, folks, I'm going to stop this.